people come to the studio all the time and you talk to them about your philosophy. How would you sum up your philosophy? Can you sum it up?
Hamish. My philosophy is to create a life, It's much more interesting for me to see people come in to my office, to come into my class, excited to create a life and to bring themselves into it, to let the relationship guide them, which allows the need to occur. Mm-hmm. The fascinating thing to me has always been that actors are so busy wanting to find the objectives and trying to break down the scene, and they do all this this whole thing when it comes to script analysis. Mm-hmm. And they don't understand that if your connection is strong, right, and you know the reason why you're walking into the room, so much is taken care of. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can basically, because being in the present can occur.
Yeah.
And I think actors get all screwed up with this whole thing. I have to know what my intention is, what my objective is. My philosophy, I believe, helps people get out of their head. Because in the old days, one would say, what is my relationship? What is my need? What's my history? And they tend to get stuck, I think, in that kind of technical approach to acting.
And being in the technical mind.
And being that technical mind, which is so dangerous. Mm-hmm. I like to call it now the creative mind.
Creative mind. And then people come to you, you're always having these discussions, because I know I did this, coming to you with a prescribed set of things, how actors will approach something, and I'm talking about traditional methods. Yeah. How do you see yourself differing from them?
Well, the traditional method has always been, I'll give you an example. I'm working with someone right now, and he has a film, because not only do I work with people in auditioning, I also work with people when they got the part.
Right.
And he is so controlled by the technical aspect of finding the beats. Mm-hmm. Wondering what the director's going to want when they shoot the scene. That everything he does is in hope that the director and the producer will love what they do.
Yeah.
So they're not really creating. They're not allowing themselves to jump into the life. And they're certainly not creating the slices that are in between or that come previous to that slice that they're creating.
I remember talking to you when we first met about substitution.
And when was that?
That was a long time ago now.
1,000 years ago. You're getting older, baby.
Yeah, so true.
Not that I am. I'm not getting older. You're the one's getting older.
But I remember talking to you about substitution and how it was a crux for me. It would be what I would. Yeah. It would be my go-to when I had a script.
Yeah. You don't do that anymore, huh?
And I don't do that anymore.
Why? Let me interview you. Why is that?
Well, it's just so limiting.
Why is that?
It was limiting for me.
Yeah.
There wasn't any opportunity to go anywhere.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, I find it very limiting.
But a lot of actors come to you and they still say to you they want to do that, or those are the things that they want to do.
Yeah.
And how do you get them out of it?
Well, it's interesting that I had this discussion the other day with someone else I'm working on a movie with, and that's his way of approach has always been substitution.
Yeah.
And I said, when you substitute, you are limiting your imagination.
Yeah.
And I think that's what is interesting is, even though I've worked with him before, he still doesn't understand what that's about. He doesn't get it. So I'm going to explain it to you so people can understand it. I think. See, there are teachers that believe only in imagination. Mm-hmm. Don't use anything about yourself. Just completely use your imagination. Then there are coaches that believe, don't worry about imagination. Get yourself totally in the personalization and think about your own stuff and use that. Mm-hmm. Then there's me, Margie. I like to combine. I like use my stuff, let my personal stuff happen, and let that grow into your imagination.
Right.
So what happens is someone who, for example, just doing a movie with right now, working with a movie with him, he's going like this. He's going. It's kind of a sad movie, and his wife is dying, and he starts crying and getting upset. I said, "What's going on?" I said, "Well, I had a breakup with my girlfriend a couple years ago, and this reminds me of it." And I said, "That's okay, because that's personalization. That stuff is coming up. Use that. I mean, that's really good. Use that stuff, because when you're personal, you get a chance to really explore your stuff. It's a part of you. You are underneath that character,
Right.
so use it. But what he's used to doing then is he keeps going back to it.
Right.
So, but wait a second. This woman you're with, she's not dying. This woman that you're with, you didn't meet her on the beach somewhere. So you need to continue your imagination, and then you are no longer substituting. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
I hope
And
so.
in terms of the emotional life, you know, it's if you're trying to put sort of labels on things and you're trying to put it into certain boxes, it's never going to feel the way it should.
Yeah, it's wonderful. An actor loves to feel things, because when an actor feels something, they go, "Oh, I'm so good at this. I'm so talented. I'm so successful." And yes, that's really nice, but it's not enough, because there's the creation of the life. There's the circumstances. There's the situation that's completely different than your life.
Yeah.
You're living the life of somebody who's a murderer. You don't live that life, hopefully. Well, you got to live that life. You can't just, oh, I know what it's like to hate somebody, I'll just use that.
Yeah.
You know, it's so limiting.
Yeah. And also, it doesn't honor the life you're creating.
Yeah, and well,
Right.
this is, to me, the most exciting part of the whole thing. You know, honoring is beautiful, but why do we do this? You have to ask, why do actors get into this business? I would ask you that question. Why do you think actors get into this business?
Well, I think it's about communication. It's about being heard and finding ways to.
Right,
be
but do you
heard.
think most actors really go to that place? I think my fear is that most actors
Right.
go to the places, oh, I want to be a star. I want to be on a TV show. I want to, you know,
Yeah, I think they want that
the
validation.
validation. And then it ends up happening is they're not really doing what they really will be most joyful in, which is, wow, I get to live the life of somebody who's
Right.
a doctor, or who's living in Italy and having the most romantic affair, and all the things. That's why you become an actor, to create other people's lives.
It's interesting because I know that we had an actor that was talking to you and me about a life that they were living, which was very emotional. It was, you know, very heavy size. And I know that they were coming to you, talking to you about, you know, feeling that sense of using too much of themselves, and it being a dangerous, not
Very-
a pleasant, fun experience in
Right.
creating. And they were in a dark place for a couple of weeks,
Well,
you know?
there's a couple of things I say about that. Number one, you have to be careful if you want to be healthy, not to overutilize or only use your pain, your sadness, your depressions, because what ends up happening is you could be an unhealthy person.
Yeah.
So when you use it within the life of the person, then you have to throw it away and go get some ice cream.
Yeah.
And throw it away and go have a great time with your spouse, and enjoy life. Otherwise, it can make you, not healthy.
Thank you.
Good to see you, my darling. Not that I don't see you every single day.
Yeah,
Thank you,
we
Hamish.
spent a lot of time together.
I know. Luckily, I like him.